Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'm in the dark today because it's cold and I just simply wanted to be under my cover to feel warm. And so that is exactly what it is. It's probably about 49 degrees in my room right now. But yeah, man. The Lakers play the Cavaliers on an early game in the East Coast. It is at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. So be ready for the early game. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I watched all 4 of the highlights of their games. They played the likes of the Detroit Pistons, the Knicks, the Raptors, and the Wizards, and they beat all of them. I'm not impressed. I'm not going to lie to you. I know they're one of the only undefeated teams left, but they ain't played nobody, man. They ain't played nobody. The Knicks were the only team they really played. They beat them. Their bench played pretty sour in that one, but they had a huge game from Darius Garland. What I will say is they beat whoever was in front of them, and they did it in impressive fashion. The Toronto game, they blew Toronto out. The Wizards game, they blew them out. So clearly they're taking care of business in a weak Eastern Conference. But this is the big test for them, to run into a really good Western Conference team that's been beating up on good teams as of late. Would have beat up on the Phoenix Suns if we could have gotten anything at all out of Bron and the bench, but we didn't. So it was kind of one of those situations where we had the worst Bron game we ever had. And arguably, I think I've actually seen him play worse. But nevertheless, it was one of the worst shooting nights he's had, 3 of 14 from the field. And we just did not have a good game there. And only lost by 4 on the road in Phoenix. So we, in my opinion, have been a bit more impressive than Cleveland, beating up on just lowly Eastern Conference tank squads. One thing I will say, though, is they look good doing it, man. As I said, Garland was like really going crazy against the Knicks in the Garden. I think he walked out of there with like 36 or 37 points, something like that, a lot of threes. Donovan Mitchell is in rare form. His footwork looks really special right now. He's just really incorporated so much into his game. You got to keep him from getting to the line, because usually against the Lakers he tends to go to the free throw line about 176 times, so we need to be ready for that. And then they have good play out of their front court right now. Both of their front court players are pretty damn hot for what for their standards. I think Mobley and Allen are both playing like all-stars. They're blocking shots, they're rim running, they're rebounding. They're creating a lot of problems, and they're both playing great. So that needs to be understood. And then you got guys off of the bench who are playing well for them as well. Caris LeVert's in a good space right now. And it's a few other bench players that come to mind, but I can't think of their names right now, unfortunately. But, you know, Josh Okogie's playing pretty well. Not a Josh Okogie, excuse me. Dang, I forget his name. It's not Josh Okogie, but the young guy off the bench that they drafted a few years ago as a small forward. He's been playing pretty well. Now they're missing some guys. Imani Bates is missing from this one. Porter is also not available tonight from what I understand. And Max Strus is still out with a rolled ankle. I think he's going to miss a couple more weeks. So that's what's going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But they do have a strong plethora of players that they're throwing at us this year, and we got to be ready for them, man. We have to play better basketball than we did in the last one, man. Especially from our bench, we need guys like Dalton Knecht and Gabe Vincent to really make up for a not so great game. We're luckily in a space where we can see health starting to come around. Christian Koloko is expected to be cleared, or I think he just was cleared. Probably won't play tonight, but he can get back on the court anytime the Lakers are ready to put him out there, so that's really good news. And, of course, we're getting closer to Wood being back, and haven't heard anything in regards to Vanderbilt in a couple weeks, but last I heard he was ramping up, so hopefully that means he's close to coming back too. So health is on the way, and that's really what it's about. Of course, Anthony Davis is playing some of the best basketball we've ever seen him play, and that has not slowed down. He's killing it on both sides of the floor, averaging 33 points a game through 4 games. Just spectacular stuff, man. And even though we lost the last game, he looked amazing in the first quarter. Probably played some of his best ball we had ever seen him play in the first quarter of the Phoenix game. So the fact that we had a drop-off in that game made it even a little more sour for us, given the fact that we came out in such a hot fashion. But you know, we have to prove we can win on the road. Just like I always say, teams they have different identities sometimes when it comes to the road versus home. At home, we're kicking everybody's butt. On the road, so far, we're 0-1. So if that's going to be our identity, we're not going to be a very good team. But if we can find ways to win games on the road as well as home, then we'll get as far as we want to go, obviously. So, yeah, that's really what it comes down to, man. We got a hot Cleveland team coming in. But like I said, this Cleveland team ain't played nobody, man. They ain't played nobody. Let's just be honest. The Raptors missing a bunch of players. They beat them in the opening night by like 30 points. They look good doing it, but the Raptors don't have much of nothing. We'll see them on this road trip next, I believe. The Wizards, we know the Wizards, they're forever tanking, man. They don't look very good. The Knicks had a poor shooting night from what I saw. Wasn't exactly a great Knicks game from most of what they had going on there. So they kind of ran into the Knicks not really playing that great, in my opinion. And who was the other team? The Detroit Pistons, also not very good. And they had a tough game with the Pistons. So, you know what I mean? Who they beat, man? Who they really beat? I heard people saying, "Oh, the Cleveland Cavaliers are the most impressive team in the league." It's like, where? Who are they playing? Yeah, they're playing great against who they playing, but who they playing ain't doing much of nothing. So it's time for them to run into a real team. That is exactly who we are. And, we need to, like I said, keep Donovan Mitchell off the line. Respect that Darius Garland just came off a fantastic basketball game. Respect that, their front court is playing great ball right now. And respect Caris LeVert is in rare form as well. He's playing great off the bench. They have some really good players, man. Jalen Tyson is somebody that I always have circled going forward with the Cleveland Cavaliers, someone they just drafted. I don't think he's getting a whole lot of minutes, so I doubt we'll see very much of him tonight. But he definitely is somebody who could do a lot for them if they choose to go to him. They would be wise for doing so, but they won't do it because they're playing other guys that have been on their team for a little while who also are playing well right now. So you just got to, deal with the three-point line for sure. That's what they're going to be doing. They shoot a lot of threes. They have a lot of personnel that can do that. And, a guy like Ty Jerome started off the season very strong, so he's someone I have circled on their bench that maybe we need to keep an eye on. There's a few other guys too, but for whatever reason, their names aren't coming to mind. I wish I would have did this video last night when I was fresh off the homework. I watched all 4 of the highlights in detail, sitting there for like 40 minutes watching Cleveland highlights. And they just play a really crisp brand of basketball right now. Their coach, Adelman, one of the guys who was on the list as a candidate for us, he really opened up the offense there. Their offense looks significantly better than it did last year, and I think that's what they're benefiting from a lot right now. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley just look great right now. And we're going to have a lot thrown at us tonight, probably a better front court than we've seen all season. So that's really what it comes down to. Anthony Davis is going to have a real test trying to overcome all the length and the defensive players that they throw at you. Double T's on the bench. They tend to use him sparingly, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tristan Thompson out there a little bit tonight. Yeah, man, this is expected to be a very good game. And Eastern Conference game that start early in the day tend not to be our greatest historically. We tend not to play as well. Sometimes we get caught off guard, that kind of thing. I just don't want to see any drop-off tonight. We should be on high alert given the fact of how we lost the last game. Our coach was very unhappy at how that went, of course, so I think we're going to be on high alert. Obviously, Cleveland, Bronny. We will see Bronny tonight, I'd imagine. I don't think they, forego an opportunity to have that moment in this building. That's really what it comes down to. They're both obviously from Cleveland and the Ohio area, so they're going to want to have that Bron and Bronny moment on the floor tonight. So we'll be ready to try to withstand those minutes and hopefully have a positive plus minus in those minutes. Max Christie, hopefully he has a good game tonight. We've really had him struggle, but if I remember correctly, he actually played one of his better games in Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. I just have a distinct memory of him doing a good job there for some reason. So hopefully that translates to him playing well tonight. And Rui Hachimura, stay on your tear, man. You've been killing it Rui's arguably playing all-star ball to start the season, believe it or not. I don't think he's actually getting enough credit for the Lakers' success. I don't know that we even have the wins that we have if he wasn't playing the level he was playing. So I think even though people are saying how well Rui's playing, I don't think he's actually getting as much credit as maybe he deserves. If he stays on this path, he's one of the most improved players in basketball, believe it or not. So that's something that needs to be said. Usually they give most improved to somebody that's already a star that we already know is great, and I expect for them to do something like that this year, probably give it to Wemby or some stupid crap like that. But a guy like Rui Hachimura through 4 games is one of the guys that should be considered for most improved, in my opinion. I don't know if he's the leading front runner, because a guy by the name of Scottie Pippen over there in Memphis is playing like an all-star, somebody we know very much, and decided to let him go for nothing. He's completely broken out. And so that's one player that I think probably deserves it. Santi Aldama also on his team playing amazing ball too. So we'll see Memphis at the end of this road trip, and that is what we're running into. But for now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are in front of us. And with Rui playing the way that he is, I feel great about us being able to withstand some of what Cleveland's throwing at us. We love what we're seeing from Austin Reeves as well. He's been playing great ball. His 3 balls finally fouling after having issues with it in the preseason and early in the start of the season. But these last 2 games, he's really been hitting his 3 ball, and I love what I'm seeing there. That step back 3 in rhythm has been pretty. Driving at the rim, I think, obviously a big part of his game is hunting out fouls, driving at the rim, and hoping the call comes his way. But sometimes they just won't give him the call. He needs to look to intend to score 100% of the time. I don't care if you're trying to fake a foul or not. Flailing your arms and throwing the ball into the air, if they call it, lovely. If they don't call it, you've given the ball away. And so that's something I just want to say. I think Austin's going to have to pick and choose when it makes sense to embellish on contact and more so be intentional on finishing through contact. I think that's probably a better bet. It probably plays a better role for us in the long run than foul hunting, because once people start realizing you're foul hunting, they deliberately try to keep you from getting your calls. The referees are just human and they don't like being conned, so we need to be very careful about that. What else is going on out here in the Lakerland? I need a bounce back game from Jackson Hayes. I really hated what I saw from him in the last game for the most part. If he's going to play poorly, he's hard to play, man. And with Christian Koloko now being cleared, he had better stay on his game or he's going to lose minutes. It just is what it is. So we definitely going to keep an eye open for him to see if he could play better than he did against Phoenix. And if he's going to be one of them guys who can only play well at home, then that's not going to work for us. What else, man? D'Lo Russell. At some point in time, he's going to break out of this slump. We know D'Lo is like a roller coaster. It's ups and downs, ups and downs. We've been on some downs for a nice little swing there. It's time for us to swing upwards, so hopefully we can get something good out of him. Much has been said about him getting hunted on the defensive end. That just comes with the territory. We know what it is. That's why it's so important for him to be effective on the offensive end, because we know defensively he's going to give something back a lot of the time. And, if I were D'Lo Russell, I would just double up my weightlifting, man. I don't know what he's comfortable doing. I don't know what his body's, I don't know the guy. But if I were him, I would take all this very personally. And you would see me doing more lifting than I've ever done in my life. I'm just being honest with you. That type of motivation, I think, from a guy who's been targeted like this is ultimately what I think is best for him. I up my intake of protein, and I'm upping my intake of activity in the gym, man. It's happening. If I'm D'Lo, I'm sick of all this. Y'all ain't about to keep targeting me without feeling my body. I'm going to put on weight. I'm going to be stronger, even if I ain't getting faster. Y'all ain't about to keep just pushing me around like this. So that's how I feel if I'm D'Lo, man. I don't know, what motivates him or what he thinks is necessary for himself, but all this talk about people targeting me, I'm gonna be fouling harder. That's what it really comes down to. You're just gonna get fouled harder. And so that's my mentality. I don't doubt that D'Lo is working out and working on his body, taking care of his conditioning. But I would be extra intentional personally on making myself more physical. Whatever that looks like, I would be doing that. And so that's just what I want to say about D'Lo. I just think that at some point in time, man, pride got to take over and say, y'all ain't about to just keep pushing me around, fam. And so whatever that takes, I'm going to be doing personally. So yeah, that's what I gotta say. I think D'Lo needs to just increase his intensity in physical activity on the court and off it as it pertains to getting in the gym and working on whatever necessary. If that means doubling up your stretch regimen to make yourself more bendable, if that means running harder, whatever would allow him for his conditioning to get to a more physical level, I think that's what he should be. His pride should be trying to force him into doing. And if it don't come overnight, that's cool. But over the next several years, I would be changing my body if I'm D'Lo Russell. That's just what I would do. So yeah, man, that's really what it is, man. Pride, man. We felt our ego get hit in that last game as a team. We know we should have won that basketball game. We understand we did some things that we probably would love to do differently. Defense, certain strategies, and stuff like that we could tweak to make ourselves a better team. We know our bench did not show up. And like I say, when it comes to pride, the bench needs to have a little more pride. And the 4 guys that we utilize, Dalton Knecht, Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, and Jackson Hayes, take it personally, bro. Take it personally. Y'all the worst bench in basketball. It is what it is. I'm not even going to front. I'm not going to play with them. I'm not going to pull punches. I'm not trying to make anybody feel good. Y'all the worst bench in basketball. We have the worst bench in basketball. Do something about it. Y'all got some pride in you. Take it out on the basketball court, literally. Because that's unacceptable for our team to be as impressive as we are, and for our bench to be the worst one in the league. That should be something that those 4 men take very seriously. And so that's what I got to say to them, man. Especially a guy like Dalton Knecht. You know damn well you're talented as hell, bro. 0 for 2? Nah. We shouldn't have the worst bench in basketball with you being on this team. That's directly to connect for. There's no reason for us to have the worst bench in ball. When you're one of the most talented players shooting the ball, nah. Take that personally. Gabe Vincent been to an NBA Finals, part of a very, very strong Heat culture. We can't have one of the worst benches if you own it. You know what I'm saying? Like, take it personal. A guy like Max Christie doing the best he can because he's a young guy. He has to develop. But even him, take it personally, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to say. If our team is going to be any good to the level that we know we can be, it can't just be our starters beating up on everybody and our bench coming in throwing away leads. And I know a lot of that has to do with strategy. Coach has to figure out rotations that work. Guys' limitations are on display. Sometimes carry over in certain situations with starters not meshing well with the bench could be a problem, all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm asking for guys to take pride in the situation here as it pertains to, hey, I'm coming out. I'm not waiting for no analyst to come out and say we have the worst bench in basketball. I'm telling people I think our bench is the worst one in ball, and I want my team to prove that they are not. That's really what it comes down to. I don't think we have the most talented bench in the league. I just think our bench is not playing well, and they need to get their head together in that regard, man. I really believe that. They need to reach in their back pocket and pull out some heart, more or less. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't seeing it. And like I said, I know Dalton is a rookie, but he's a 23-year-old rookie. And so for me, it's like, yo, if I call on you to play 35 minutes, you already proved to me in Phoenix, I can get 35 points out of you. I don't ever want to see another performance like what I just saw in Phoenix this previous game. You went into that same building, had your best game, and had your worst game there too. Nah, bro. I need consistency. You too old to not be consistent. So that's what I want to say. I don't want to see him passing up no shots. I'd rather him go 3 for 14 like Bron did than 0 for 2 and knowing that he didn't pass up a couple shots. I don't ever want to see that again. I hold him in too high of a regard, rookie or not. I already know what he can do, so that's not acceptable. So that's pretty much what it is, man. I hold people to the standard that I believe they can give us. That's really what it comes down to. I understand that a lot of things are new. Everybody's entitled to having a bad game. I'm not going to scream at Bron because I know Bron is going to get it together. You know what I mean? I don't expect him to ever play like that again. Even if he's declining, he ain't going to play that bad. So, it's a lot going on there. From what I understand, the flu was a thing. He might have had a little bit of a flu, and I also understand he's got some stuff going on with people trying to link him to Diddy. So it's a lot going on in Bron's life. But the court is where he's found his greatest accomplishments on, and that's where I expect for him to take out all frustration on the court. It's a big game tonight. We're going back to the place where you won the only championship they ever got. If they didn't have you, they never would have won a championship. So this is one of the most important games of his career, one of the last times he'll probably play in this building, and I expect for him to bounce back and think about ball tonight. You know, whatever's going on off the court, let it take care of itself. But tonight we think about ball. And so that's really what I got to say there, man. Anthony, keep doing what you're doing, man. I understand that you're taking on a lot of punishment. I understand he fell on his hip or something like that in the last game. Might have tweaked a little something. So if he starts to wean off a little bit in energy, that's something we need to be prepared for. But as long as we continue to utilize the guys who are playing well, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves specifically, continue to feature them, I think they are proving that they can carry more weight than maybe they could have in previous years. So that's really what it is, man. I want to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a big test for us. This team has not lost a game. They expect to win at home, and we need to let our game travel on the road. We the jury is out on whether we're any good on the road. So we need to establish who we want to be now on this road trip. And if we're not going to handle business, then we're just an average basketball team that finds ways to win at home, and that's not impressive. That's not impressive. So that's really what it comes down to, man. Let's take care of business. Cleveland's a good team, but they're not better than us. BDL 44. Oh, one more thing. The Lakers are wearing yellow tonight, and the Cleveland Cavaliers will be wearing black. That's really what it is, man. And it is most noteworthy, now that I'm thinking about it, that there are two players on the injury report that we need to keep an eye on, and it's the two I just mentioned, D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. I do think Austin will play. He played 82 last year, so I don't imagine he's missing this game. But D'Lo, I'm not really sure what's wrong with him. So if he's not available, we're even more short-handed, and I'd imagine that we will be in some trouble if either one of those guys or both of those guys are missing. So that is a very important aspect of this game. We got two guys on the injury report, and that is what it is. So, of course, we know who's missing. We already said it. Wood, Vanderbilt, and Koloko still not going to play. But Austin and D'Lo, I really hope y'all able to go. We don't have enough guard depth to withstand them not being out there. So, yeah, man, it's on our coach to try to find ways of making it work regardless, and it's on our GM to try to wheel and deal, if at all possible. And at the end of the season, I think the buy-out market is going to be very important for the Lakers as well. If we're going to boost our bench, it's probably going to be right there. So that's what I got to say, man. Early game, 4 o'clock. We'll be ready for it. Of course, I have more in-depth reactions and stuff at the halftime and at the end of the game. But for now, that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching, and I'm out.